Hey everybody, welcome to the TIMGA Podcast. My name is Dr. Muhammad Khalif, and I'm here with Dr. Abdifiteh Muhammad, internal medicine resident, R3, right now, about to graduate from the University of Washington, long term, TIMGA member and also a TIMGA advisor. And Dr. Muhammad, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Khalif, for having me. I'm so lucky to be with you today, and I'm a big fan of TIMGA.
No, Timga is happy to have you, man. And you've been in Timga, like you've been a part of the members ever since the beginning, like around 2016, 2017. Long journey with Timga.
Absolutely, I am one of uh, the people who started TIMGA before we used to call WAIMG Washington Academy for International Medical Graduate. Since 2016, 17, we used to go together to Olympia to discuss with our lawmaker to teach them about who is international medical graduate. Up to date we have a license, so I'm so happy to be a member of TIMGA.
Yeah. And congratulations on about to graduate residency, Dr. Muhammad. If briefly talk about the 3 year journey so far. How is it like? The match just happened last week, so there's a lot of new Timga members. They're about to start their residency. So any advice to them?
Oh my god, so to tell you that how much it's so tough to match at the University of Washington for the last 3 years. University of Washington, they took only one IMG,
Wow.
one IMG for the last 3 years. So every year we have a class of 75 to 80. Those out of 75 to 80, zero IMG this year, the year before, and 3 years ago they took only one person. So at the University of Washington, it is well known American Medical Graduate Friendly Program, not IMG friendly program. And I was the first Somali IMG to match at the University of Washington since 1957 when they
Wow.
did the program. Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
So it's really tough. But what I always tell the people, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Dr. Muhammad Khalif, he started negotiation and talking to the University of Washington how they can have more access to the IMG, get training, externship, and then make them a path to end up matching to University of Washington.
That's amazing, Dr. Muhammad. So also like what would you say for somebody like let's say going to like I know you did like a transitional year program, you did like an intern year program as well. So like somebody starting from like let's say somebody starting from year 1 intern year, like what can they do right now? Like how can they make it easier for themselves when they start the job?
Absolutely. Always the intern year is the toughest one. That's when you learn the foundation and the basic of medicine. If you're going to internal medicine or family medicine or pathology, first year is always tough. That's where you have more inpatient, ICU rotation. That's where you learn all the basic is the foundation and everything. One thing that helped me was I started going to the hospital earlier, like in the morning, prepare myself, do my own, breach charting, taking the history, talking to the nurse what happened overnight, you know, sacrificing my sleep, going to the hospital earlier, 1 hour, 2 hour, and making sure when I leave the hospital, everything is well done, well organized, my notes are done, and those small details like staying later 1 hour, coming earlier 1 hour, 2 hour made a huge change and success for my journey as an engineer. And also an engineer, that's where you learn the discipline. That's where you work with your seniors, where you work with the nurses, the MA, everyone, in the hospital. That's where you are okay to ask question. No one is expecting that you know everything. People know that you are an engineer. Don't feel ashamed. ask every question, whether it is small or big, ask question and learn, take a note, and go from there and build your foundation as you go into the second year when you're gonna become a senior and you are more responsible at that time.
Yeah, yeah. And Dr. Muhammad, I know you spent a year in New Jersey. You did a transitional year. A lot of IMGs, they don't apply to transitional your program or preliminary year program. Like for you, would it be possible for you to match in UW without that transitional year?
Absolutely not. Even the program were so transparent and they were so clear with me. They told me the only way they offer for me the interview because I had a transitional year residence at Hackensack University in New Jersey. That was the only option for me to go to the University of Washington because one of the pre-requirements is even for you to get an interview is to have at least a minimum of 6 months of hand-on clinical experience. And as an IMG, it's really very tough, if it's not impossible, to get 6 months of hand-on clinical experience inside the hospital where you are responsible and everything. There are some companies who do that, but most of them are outside, are as an outpatient clinics where you have 1 month, 2 months, and they will charge you $2,000 per month, 1,500 per month. So if we're talking about 6 months, we might end up on 10,000 plus, which is really very tough for IMG to have that kind of money sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
So for me, I always encourage all the IMG, especially the old folks, who graduated more than 10 years, try to apply transitional year, try to apply prelim. I remember one of our friends, Dr. Babin Saraha, he also applied a prelim surgery and then he ended up in radiology.
Yeah.
You don't have to go prelim surgery to end up in surgery. You can go there as a pathway, then you can go radiology, you can go back to internal medicine. Before I got the transitional year, I used to get only two interview, one interview, kind of like that. But the day I got the transitional year, I was getting like seven, eight, up to 10 interview.
Wow.
People would like to work with
IMGs
you.
don't know that. Like they don't apply to prelim surgery. They don't apply to prelim internal medicine transitional year because like you as you said, if somebody does prelim surgery, radiology's option is still they have clinical experience. They can go to internal medicine, right? That's an option.
Absolutely, absolutely. Prelim surgery does not mean you are only qualified for surgery. You can go internal medicine even as a second year BGY2.
Wow.
You can go to radiology as a BGY1 because radiology normally they start BGY 0, 1, 2, 3, and then they are 4 years program. So prelim, it helps you. It will open a lot of doors for you. It will give you the quality that, hey, I have been trained inside United States as an ACGME credit program. Even somewhere I remember in, I think is Virginia, New Jersey, if you do 1 year prelim and let's say you did not end up in matching, you can still get a license where you can work as a primary care physician in rural area. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of opportunities after you get the prelim. It will open the door for you to get more interviews. You can make a connection. Even the program I did in the transitional year, they were more than happy to take me to their program as a second year, as a first year. So I learned the program director. I made a lot of connection, but always I have a plan to come back to University of Washington. That program was a community program. So doing transitional year or prelim surgery, it is a huge game change for IMGs, especially old folks.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Speaking of old folks, unfortunately, like when a lot of people match, there's also a lot of people who don't match as well. So we have some TIMGA members, maybe they're like 10 years, 15 years, some 20 years out of medical school, and they kind of like they don't believe there's a pathway to get there. What would you advise those folks who are very old graduates who still want to do some residency?
I always tell never give up. Always in my dictionary, never give up. I will give you an example. One of my friend who graduated from University of Washington, 3 years ago. She graduated 2001 from University
Wow.
of Nairobi.
Wow.
Ruth Daya, she graduated, very old graduate, almost 20 plus.
Wow.
And she did a master degree at the University of Washington as a public health, but she still much at the University of Washington. So there are always some programs who appreciate, your resilience, your commitment, that you are really not giving up. You are, improving your application. You are doing research. You are doing hand-on clinical experience. There are even research assistant at the University of Washington. So those folks who are all the graduate, I always tell them, never ever give up. Just to make a plan, as we do mentorship here at TIMGA. I always tell the people, be close to the program, whether at the University of Washington, whether somewhere else. Be close to the hospital, be close to the program. Tell them, hey, I'm here. Maybe you get zero interview as the first time, but they will not take and notice that you are still persistent. I got interview at University of Washington my third year applying. First year zero interview, second year zero interview, and I got my first interview as a third time. So
Wow.
always tell, never give up.
Yeah, that's persistent right there. And again, like, and I want to tell this to IMGs, like, nobody like believes me most of the time. But look, there's so many options you could do. Before, like, there was not no more not options, but right now you can do an MDCE program, right? You can get some hands-on clinical experience there. You can apply for permit, because look, can you believe it, Dr. Muhammad? Everybody who did the MDCE program and applied for residency, they matched most, like,
Definitely,
so like,
definitely.
so it's a huge opportunity. If you want to go to residency, you do the MDCE program, you can apply for preliminary programs, like, preliminary IM, transitional year, preliminary surgery. There's so many options out of there. So, like, I think you people just need to, it sounds like, Dr. Muhammad, just people just need to be hustlers. They need to hustle.
Absolutely, absolutely. I when I talk to the program directors or people who make the decision, they always tell me they don't want to take a risk to take someone who never had an opportunity to work in hospital or in a clinic, someone who does not know how to use electronic medical record or epic, because as a resident you will get an orientation maybe couple hours, like 2 hour, 3 hour, and they were expecting you that you can run the show from after 2 hour. They are expecting that you can admit the patient, put the order, write the note, talk to the other multidisciplinary team, for example, consulting neurology, consulting cardiology, renal, rheumatology. So they are expecting you do all that by yourself. So imagine, for someone who never been in any hospital or clinic inside the United States, it's gonna be so tough. As I told you, at UW, they run almost over 100 clinics and most biggest three hospitals in Seattle, Washington. So
Wow.
for them, they don't want to have more time to spend with you, to train you, to tell you how to write, how to do. So when they see someone who has MDCE, who has exposure, who already did the training, who already have a patient, for them it is easier for them to take that kind of person. That's why I always tell, number one, finish your exams. Number two, while you are waiting the residence, get the MDCE. First of all, when you get MDCE, you will have a job, secure job. B, you will get the exposure. C, you are more likely to end up in match. Definitely, your chances are more likely to end up in match. And that's what the data are proving right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's a great opportunity for IMGs because, like, 10 years ago, like, this opportunity didn't exist, So,
No way, no way. We used to work at a very local, low paying jobs. Every, name it, from security job, Uber, Lyft, care coordinator, community health worker, with $2 per hour. like
Yeah,
$1,000 every 2 weeks. That was
yeah,
the maximum expectation.
yeah,
Now, people in MDCE, they can make up to the 150,000 while they are still wearing a white coat. You go to the hospital, you go to the clinic, you have your own patient. This is a huge dream for me when I was like 10 years ago.
yeah, yeah. And Dr. Muhammad, I think a lot of people maybe because like you're a nice guy, you're talking like nicely, and a lot of people don't understand like some because I like we're friends. I know your struggles.
Absolutely,
I know your struggles
absolutely.
because you were here in Washington State. You were completing the the steps. You were getting your ECFMG. You were going. You were taking train to what do you call it, UW. You were working as a nursing home, and then when you finished, you went to Minnesota just to enter the bridge program in Minnesota. For I think you lived there for a year, and then you got denied. You didn't get in, and then you had to come back, look for another opportunity. You did a clinical experience. You spent a lot of money. You went to New Jersey, did another clinical experience there, and then you had to like find a transitional year that way, and then you need to come back again here to do your residency. Man, that is a crazy journey. You need to talk about that more, man.
Absolutely. I always tell the people, getting into the residency is one step, but there are huge pre steps before you end up in matching, because first of all you have to do all the exams, reading alone biochemistry, Krebs cycle, lysosomal storage disease, anatomy, which we all totally forget like 10 years ago, 15 years ago while we were in school. And reading, studying that is really huge tough. As an American medical graduate, they while they are in school, they taking those exams easier. It's like
Yeah,
very quick. We have to re-study after we graduate, and then going to Minnesota, going to New Jersey, which I was spending a lot of money because I was trying every time. Is there an opportunity there for me going there? I know getting to the bridge program, which was very tough. They were taking two, three people out of 30 people applicants, and
wow.
one of the requirements was you have to live in the state. That's why I went there. I moved there. I get their ID in order to see am I qualified. And then they told me nope. They denied my application, and then moved to New Jersey. Do 2 months where I spend a lot of money until I end up in transitional year. You know that cycle is really very tough, and I always tell the people, you know always have a faith that one day you will match, one day you will get your goal. The main important thing I always tell the people is there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah,
Believe that and work on that. Work with Dr. Khalif, the TIMGA team. They have a lot of help, a lot of membership. When I was preparing USMLE exams, no one paid for me even $1 to buy a UWorld question bank. Where today the TIMGA have a scholarship where they are supporting our membership to get a free UWorld question bank. We have a free mentorship. We have a free mentorship to helping you with your application, reviewing your CV, reviewing your personal statement. I was not had all those chances when I was applying. So
yeah.
Timga really doing a life changing strategy, and I'm really so proud to be a member of Timga.
And we're lucky to have you, Dr. Mohammed. Lastly, would you recommend IMGs to pay for clinical experience, like maybe go to New Jersey or go to Texas, like go into like a residency program and do a clinical experience like that way? Would you recommend that?
I will say take it as a last resource.
Mm,
Try first where you live. If you live in Minnesota, if you live in Seattle, in Texas, go to your local community clinics. As we did, if you remember, at CMAR Clinic,
yeah.
go to your local community clinic, establish with them, take a letter from there. Go to your local universities. Sometimes they are maybe denying, but email them. If you email 10 people and one attendant accepted you, that's a huge success. Do local as much as possible. Once you finish your locals, you get one, two letter, then you might need to do one time go to the main programmist, main hospital who has a residence, and then try to engage with the program director, try to make a connection. In USA there is no corruption, but there is a huge connection. So you
Yeah,
want to work on your connections, work with the program director, associated program director, and attending, and use that as a last resource. The best time to do externship it is July, August,
yeah,
because you wanna go there so people can remember you, who you are, your name, and then you apply in September. So the
yeah,
people, if you do in January, they might totally forget who you are. So I
yeah.
always tell the people, if you do an externship, do it July, August if you have enough money. If you don't have money, just do 1 month, which is August.
Yeah. Funny story, Dr. Muhammad. I was speaking with a member yesterday, a TIMGA member. So they matched in California, right? So basically, what happened was they used to post a lot in LinkedIn. They always worked in LinkedIn, and they, posted about their journey, about what they were doing, the clinical experience they did, where were they shadowing. They just everything about their, USMLE journey and their experience and their shadowing everything. They just posted every day. They posted like maybe three LinkedIn posts or something like that. And then she applied to the match, and then one program director who read her post interviewed her. He invited her into an interview because in California he was like, oh yeah, I know this lady. Like she applied. She talked about her journey. A really nice person. Everybody comments on her post. Because of that post, she got a residency interview, and then she interviewed there, and then she matched there in California. So at a family medicine residency program, which is in California it's kind of hard for IMGs to match there.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
California is very
so
tough.
so LinkedIn is not a bad way to make connections and grow your network as well.
Absolutely. X, previously known as Twitter, try to make a connection, try to engage with other communities, show yourself that, hey, I'm here, I want to learn, be humble, you know, don't just sleep on application. Try, even when application end, there's a sub, try to build your connection. After that, try to go May, June, try to do some improvement in your CV. You don't want to apply the same CV every year. Apply with a different CV, change your personal statement, do something, show them that, hey, this is what I did last year and this is what I'm doing this year in order to improve myself. So absolutely apply, wisely, do connections, as you just said, boast yourself in LinkedIn, in X, in Facebook. Try to engage with other communities, and hopefully you will end up matching.
Yeah, yeah, amazing, Dr. Muhammad. Any final word for the IMGs? And also, is there a way that people can contact you if they want to contact you?
Absolutely. Through the TIMGA, we have our very lovely manager here, communicator manager, Bees. You can text her through the WhatsApp or through my email at TIMGA. I'm totally always available. I'm more than happy to engage, personal, CV, application, and all that. And I wish all the members of TIMGA, all the best. And hopefully, all of them, you guys will match soon.
Yep. Dr. Abdifiteh Muhammad, internal medicine resident at the University of Washington. Thank you so much for joining us, and talking to IMGs. And thanks for being an advisor at TIMGA and working with our IMGs. If you guys want to be a member of TIMGA, please sign up. It's only $10 a month. It's very like maybe 2 cups of coffee, and you'll get a lot of benefits. Sometimes we give out stipends, free Q banks, not all the time, but sometimes, there's Dr. Muhammad's classes. It's always, available. He does a Thursday class where he advises folks. So thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you next Thursday with Dr. Abdifiteh, as always.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Khalif.